My name is Tyler, and it took me 6 months to realize what my best friend was doing. 6 months of ruined dates, failed relationships, and endless confusion before I finally saw the truth. It started subtly, too subtly. Jake had been my best friend since middle school. We were inseparable, the kind of friendship everyone envies. We finished each other's sentences, had inside jokes nobody else understood, and spent more time together than apart. When I came out as gay at 16, Jake didn't even blink. Cool, man, want to grab pizza? That was it. No drama, no questions, just acceptance. Now we're both 23, sharing an apartment downtown, and I'd finally decided to start dating seriously. After years of casual hookups and failed attempts at relationships, I was ready for something real. That's when the sabotage began. Michael was perfect on paper, 25, graphic designer, loved hiking and indie films. We matched on an app, talked for 2 weeks, and finally set up a dinner date at this Italian place downtown. I was getting ready, nervous, and excited when Jake appeared in my doorway. "Big date tonight?" he asked, leaning against the frame. "Yeah, the guy I told you about, Michael." "Right," something flickered across his face. "Well, have fun." The date started great. Michael was charming, funny, easy to talk to. We were halfway through our entrees when my phone started buzzing. "Jake." I ignored it. It buzzed again and again. "Sorry," I said to Michael, "let me just check this." The texts were frantic. "Dude, emergency, pipe burst in the apartment, water everywhere, need you home now." I showed Michael, apologizing profusely. He was understanding but disappointed. We rescheduled for the following week. When I got home, the apartment was bone dry. No waters, no emergency. "False alarm," Jake said, not meeting my eyes. "The neighbor's pipe burst, not ours, sorry man." I was annoyed but let it slide. Mistakes happen. Michael canceled our rescheduled date, said something came up. A month later, I met Brian at a coffee shop. He was a teacher, sweet and genuine, with this smile that made my stomach flutter. We went on 3 dates, and I really thought this could be something. On our fourth date, Brian suggested I bring Jake along to a party his friend was throwing. "I'd love to meet your best friend," he said. "You talk about him so much." I agreed, excited for my two favorite people to meet. The party was great until it wasn't. I stepped away to get drinks, and when I came back, Brian looked uncomfortable. Jake was talking to him, animated and friendly, but something was off. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Yeah, fine," Brian said, but his smile was forced. The next day, Brian texted, "I don't think this is going to work out. You're a great guy, but I'm not interested in drama." "Drama? What drama?" When I asked Jake what they'd talked about, he shrugged. "Just getting to know each other, seemed like a nice guy, shame it didn't work out." David lasted 2 weeks. He was a lawyer, ambitious and smart, and I was falling hard. We had plans for a weekend trip to a cabin upstate, our first overnight together. The day before we were supposed to leave, David called it off. "Tyler, I like you, but I can't compete with Jake." "What? Jake's my best friend, not my boyfriend." "Are you sure about that? Because when I talk to you, half our conversation is about him, and when we're together, you're constantly checking your phone to see if he's texted. I don't think you even realize you're doing it." "That's not, I mean, we live together, we're close, but." "Tyler, he called me last night." My blood ran cold. "He what?" "Jake called me, said he was worried about you getting hurt, that you rush into relationships, that maybe I should slow things down. He made it sound like he was looking out for you, but honestly, it felt more like a warning." After David hung up, I sat in my room, staring at the wall, pieces clicking into place. The burst pipe that wasn't, Brian's sudden discomfort, David's phone call. Jake was sabotaging my relationships, but why? I found Jake in the living room, watching TV like nothing was wrong. "We need to talk," I said, my voice shaking with anger. "What's up?" "David just broke up with me, said you called him, told him to back off." Jake's face went pale. "I didn't, I was just trying to help. You barely knew the guy and you were planning a whole trip." "That's not your decision to make," I was shouting now. "Jake, what the hell is going on? The pipe emergency with Michael, whatever you said to Brian, now calling David. You've been sabotaging every relationship I try to have." "I haven't." "Don't lie to me, we've been friends for 10 years, I know when you're lying." He stood up, running his hands through his hair, looking cornered. "Fine, you want the truth? Yes, I've been interfering." Why? The silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. When Jake finally looked at me, his eyes were filled with something I'd never seen before: fear, desperation, and something else I couldn't name. Because I'm in love with you, he whispered. The world stopped spinning. What? I could barely breathe. I'm in love with you, Jake said again, stronger this time. I have been for years, since we were 16, maybe longer. And I know that's insane, and I know I should have told you, but I couldn't. You're my best friend, you're the most important person in my life, and if I told you and you didn't feel the same way, I'd lose you. So instead, you sabotaged every relationship I tried to have. I know how it sounds, I know it was wrong, but Tyler, watching you with other guys, it killed me. Every time you'd come home talking about someone new, smiling about them, I wanted to be happy for you, but all I could think was that should be me. Jake. The pipe emergency, I panicked when I saw how excited you were about Michael. I made it up because I couldn't stand the thought of you with him. And Brian, at that party, I told him you were still hung up on your ex. I lied because I was desperate. And David, he laughed bitterly. David was the worst because you were really falling for him, so I called him and played the concerned best friend, hoping he'd back off. That's manipulative, that's Jake, that's not love, that's possessive and controlling. And I know, he was crying now. I know it's messed up, I know I've been a terrible friend, but I couldn't help it. Every guy you dated, I compared myself to them and wondered why you couldn't see me, why you couldn't want me the way I want you. I sank onto the couch, my mind reeling. 10 years of friendship and I'd never known, never suspected. Say something, Jake pleaded. Yell at me, hate me, kick me out, anything, just say something. I need you to be honest with me, I said finally. When I came out at 16 and you said cool. Want to grab pizza, was that when you realized? He nodded. I'd been confused about my feelings for a while, but when you came out, it all clicked into place. I wasn't just your best friend, I was in love with you, and I was terrified because I didn't know if I was gay or bi or what. All I knew was that I wanted to be with you. Why didn't you tell me then? Because you just come out, you were figuring yourself out, and I hoped that maybe my feelings would fade, that it was just confusion, but they never did, they only got stronger. I looked at him, really looked at him, maybe for the first time, Jake, who'd been there through every milestone, who'd held me when I cried over my first heartbreak, who knew every weird thing about me and loved me anyway. Jake, who'd been sabotaging my happiness because he thought he'd never have a chance. You're right, I said, what you did was manipulative, it was wrong, you hurt people and you hurt me. He nodded, tears streaming down his face. I know, I'm so sorry. But Jake, you idiot, if you just told me, maybe things could have been different. His head snapped up. What? Do you remember sophomore year of college? We got drunk at that party and we ended up back at the dorm and you fell asleep on my shoulder. Yes. I almost kissed you that night, I was so close. But then you mumbled something about best friends forever, and I pulled back because I thought that's all you wanted. You had feelings for me. I don't know what I had. Confusion, maybe, curiosity. I never let myself explore it because I thought you were straight and I didn't want to ruin our friendship, so I pushed it down and tried to move on. Tyler. Let me finish. What you did, sabotaging my dates that can't happen again, ever. That was toxic and wrong, and we can't build anything healthy on that foundation. I know, you're right, I'll stay out of your dating life, I'll support you with whoever you choose, I needed you to know the truth. I stood up, packing the room. My mind was racing, heart pounding, trying to process years of hidden feelings and recent betrayals. I need time, I said finally, time to think about this, about us, about what you did and what it means. Okay, Jake whispered, take all the time you need. But Jake, and this is a massive if we're going to explore whatever this is between us, you need to get help. Talk to a therapist about the jealousy, the controlling behavior. Because that pattern, that's not love, that's something else and it needs to be addressed. I will, I promise. And you need to apologize to David, and Brian if you can reach him, you hurt people because of your feelings and that's not okay. I'll do it, whatever it takes. I walked to my room, closing the door behind me. Sitting on my bed, I pulled out my phone and looked at my last text exchange with David. I'm sorry, I typed. You deserve better than what happened. Then I stared at the ceiling, thinking about Jake, about 10 years of friendship, About all the moments that suddenly made sense, the way he'd look at me sometimes, the jealousy I'd dismissed as overprotectiveness, the fact that he'd never seriously dated anyone. Was there something there, something real that we'd both been too scared to acknowledge? I didn't have answers, not yet, but for the first time in months I saw the situation clearly. My best friend had been sabotaging my dates not because he was a bad person, but because he was desperately, stupidly in love with me and didn't know how to handle it. And the scariest part, I wasn't sure I didn't feel the same way. 3 weeks later. Jake moved out the next day, crashing at his brother's place to give me space. We texted occasionally, surface-level stuff, both of us dancing around the elephant in the room. He started therapy, sent me a screenshot of his first appointment confirmation, no message attached. I went on a date with someone new, it was fine, nice guy, good conversation, but all night I kept thinking about Jake. That's when I knew. I texted him, "Can we talk?" He showed up at the apartment 20 minutes later, looking nervous and hopeful and scared. "I've been thinking," I said, "about what you said about us. And I think you were right, there's something here, something we've both been avoiding for years, but Jake, we can't just jump into this. You hurt people, you hurt me, that doesn't just go away because we have feelings for each other." I know. So here's what I'm proposing, we start over. Not as best friends, not as roommates, not as anything, we date, like actual dating, getting to know each other in this new context. You keep going to therapy, we take it slow, and if at any point this doesn't feel right, we walk away, no hard feelings, no drama. "You want to date me?" He looked like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. "I want to see if there's something real here, beyond the friendship, beyond the history. I want to know if what you feel, what I think I might feel, is something we can build on." Jake smiled, and for the first time in weeks it reached his eyes. "I'd like that." We went out for coffee the next day. It was weird sitting across from Jake at a cafe on an actual date. We'd done this 1,000 times before, but now everything felt different, charged with possibility. "So," he said, nervous in a way I'd never seen him, "first date questions, what's your favorite color?" I laughed, "You already know that, it's blue." "Right, okay, what's your biggest fear?" "Probably losing people I care about." "Your turn, what's yours?" "That I've already lost you," he said quietly, "that I ruined everything with what I did." "You didn't lose me, Jake, you hurt me, yeah, but you didn't lose me." It wasn't perfect. We had hard conversations about boundaries, about his jealousy, about my trust issues after what he'd done, but we were honest, really honest, maybe for the first time in our entire friendship. 3 months later, we're taking it day by day. He's still in therapy. I'm learning to trust him again. We're figuring out what it means to transition from best friends to something more. And you know what? It's working. My best friend kept sabotaging my dates because he was in love with me. And as messed up as that was, as much as we had to work through, it led us here. To finally being honest, to finally taking a chance on something we'd both been too scared to acknowledge. Sometimes the person you're looking for has been right in front of you all along. You just need the courage to see them. The end.